So I find myself in the exact same scenario that I found myself in the previous 2 years, where essentially you don't do any recording for like however long it's been, a few months, and then the same exact canon event happens every year where you're in school and you have to give a presentation, and after you give this presentation you realize one thing: your public speaking skills are garbage and you don't know how to expand a point to an audience, I guess. But yeah, I analyzed to the past 2 years and I noticed that history just repeats itself. Freshman year, I had a presentation. I also happen to be doing these videos, 100 on the presentation, and then my dad flexes it in my face because he sees it as his accomplishment and not mine. So that was great. That worked out. And then sophomore year, we had another presentation. It was garbage because I hadn't done any, filming in the recent span of time. So that was a garbage presentation. I started filming again, and then we had a midterm speech, which I did actually solid on. Correlation, potentially. And then again, this year, the exact same thing happened. I had to give a presentation on Buddhist art, which I guess I just wasn't prepared for the presentation, because what are you supposed to talk about? Actually, no, there's plenty of stuff. I just didn't research it. I'm lazy. But I was poorly prepared for the presentation. In hindsight, I'll admit that. But at the same time, I wasn't actually good at delivering any of the concepts I knew anyway. So basically, poor delivery of message and general communication all happens every single year. The exact same thing happens. School presentation goes poorly. You suck at talking, which means I have to come back here and talk to a camera and pretend like I'm talking. Now, essentially, I realize I'm assuming there's a correlation between these two things, because I happen to notice that every time I do these weird garbage videos, I happen to get better at like school presentations. And that's something that I don't take lightly. I think that's a pretty important thing to do and know, skill, whatever. My dad also heavily emphasizes the importance of like being able to talk to an audience and communicate clearly and all that good stuff. So obviously, I'd like to improve that skill whenever possible. And also, I realize with videos like these, I have everything to gain and literally nothing to lose, because essentially I can, one, practice my like whatever speaking skills. Two, I can literally study in any format I want possible, because I can explain whatever concepts I'm learning in class, right? And I can do like a little study guide type video. And like, we learn, or at least it's common sense to most people, that teaching something is actually the pinnacle of learning something. Like, it's only when you can actually properly teach someone else something or explain something thoroughly that you understand that certain concept or event or whatever you're trying to learn or explain. So yeah, I can obviously learn something in school, grasp it in my head, and then explain it, and that way I actually get it, or I'm most likely going to understand it better and more clearly in my head. And also, on top of that, the third most brain dead thing is I can vent on here as much as I want. And obviously when something stupid happens, I can come on here and say something stupid happened. Like today at my school, someone got stabbed with a scissor. I could obviously go on and about for that for like at least 20 minutes, because it's really stupid. A lot of stupid things happen in everyone's life, and a lot of my friends vent to me, and like they manage to make the most bland events happening to them seem like the most dramatic things. But then I realized that's just everyone, right? Everyone thinks their life is like the pinnacle of existence, and everything that's happening is the most dramatic thing to occur. Not saying that they're wrong, it's everyone's perspective differently. Obviously, things happening to you are going to be more important than anything happening to anyone else. Like, starvation on the other side of the country is less important than me playing video games. I would assume is the most typical type of calculation that most people do nowadays. But yeah, a lot of people vent to me and they make like really elaborate stories, and it can get really like exhausting to listen to, but it's also entertaining in a way if they're like good storytellers. But it's still venting, getting vented to. My parents sometimes vent to me. I usually don't listen because it's usually outside my comprehension of knowledge, because it's like work related or something, and I'm not an adult. They can do whatever they want, they're geniuses, I suppose. So they vent to me, my friends vent to me, but who do I vent to? Now, I'm personally against the idea of venting to like actual people, even though I'm doing this and probably going to post it to the internet for unlimited people. I'm against the concept of like personally venting to a person, because like it seems no benefit to anyone in any way except for the person venting, which is not even a benefit necessarily. All you're doing is like talking, and I can literally do exactly what I am, which is like vent and like get ideas out without needing to waste another person's time. Maybe I'm thinking of it like an NPC, or like people want to hear each other vent or something. I know like certain people are like, yo, I got a call right now, I gotta vent, and they're like, oh, I bet I'm gonna get my headphones and my popcorn and listen to you vent. It just like doesn't click in my brain. It doesn't make any like logical sense to me. So I resorted to like this form of venting, which is just like stupid internet recordings, I suppose. Yeah, whatever. It's like, if it works, it works. And like obviously the more like detailed stuff I'll vent to certain people, because I draw a fine line at like venting compared to like asking for advice necessarily on a certain scenario that's happening, right? That's a difference that like some people can't really differentiate. When someone's venting to them, they don't want answers, they don't want advice, they just want you to listen to it and then, you know, say, damn, that sucks, which obviously sounds counterintuitive because it sounds like you don't care, but that's the whole point. You're not supposed to care or interfere with it. You're just supposed to be there to listen to it, and then they can exhaust all their frustrations out in some weird regurgitable garbage. But that's venting. And then there's also like asking for advice, which is when you like kind of vent, you're like explaining a very complicating situation, and supposedly the person you're asking the question or explaining it to has certain knowledge in that certain situation that you would find beneficial, that if you ask them the question, they can analyze your situation and give you advice that would benefit you in that situation. So like venting versus asking for advice or something, like if I'm going to ask for certain advice, I'm going to go to like whoever person who I think is knowledgeable in whatever area that they're good at and then get advice. But if it's general venting that has zero purpose other than to vent out like random regurgitable garbage that happens, I obviously don't think that's any benefit to anyone. But that's venting. Another thing I can do is also just like journaling. I used to write journals like I type them out like a little hobo, like with a typewriter, except they have Chromebooks now. So I would like type back in the day when I was in 4th grade. I'd be typing like every day for like an hour, and like it's like therapeutic, I suppose, but it also takes an hour just to write stuff, which I suppose is therapeutic and like zen and mindful or something. But like you can only get thoughts out as fast as you can type, which is why my typing speed is over 100 words per minute on average. No, that's not true anymore, but subtle flex, my typing speed is pretty fast for a high schooler, not a CS person. But I can type pretty fast, but that still doesn't change the fact that I can talk and think a lot faster. So obviously in video format, you can get ideas a lot faster than like, typing, obviously. And then I can like keep a log of whatever crap that's happening, because obviously, it's good to keep a log of things that happen. Because this year there's already been like field trips, garbage events, people getting stabbed at my school. I'm trying to do some stuff, some other stuff, tests, presentations, other stuff that ranging from like minimal impact to irrelevant, and like high impact, super hype, and like peak moments. Like you can keep a log of everything, and I can post it on the internet for everyone to see for some reason, because why not? And then that way you actually remember things. Because honestly, I think it's the biggest mistake that a lot of people don't keep logs of like things that happen, because people forget things easily. Or maybe that's just me. I'm a forgetful person. I usually forget like there are some like really fun events and like really fun days, and I just forget it entirely because like it just slips out my mind. And like I hate like remembering that it was fun and then remembering something cool happened and then not remembering like the full detailed version of what happened. I'm just like, yeah, that day was fun. I don't know what happened. I just remembered it was fun. Like that just seems like such a waste, right? I guess that's like inevitable. You're gonna forget things, but like, may as well keep a log, and then at some point you can go back. Like I go back on my old journals that are just in a Google Doc that I need to get out of the school account before they get rid of my school account. Yeah, I just like a doc with all like old stories. I get to read back like some of the most irrelevant days were like, I went to class today, and my friend threw a notebook at me, and that wasn't very cool. And I'm like, damn, I remember that. That was so not funny and traumatizing when I was in 4th grade. But now when I look back and I read it in a journal, it's funny because like children, and like I can do that literally any point in my life. Like right now, something that would be incredibly stressful or like mind-boggling, I can look back on in like 5 years or whatever when I'm a quote-unquote adult, and I can see your younger self is stupid. And one of my personal quotes is like, if you can't look back on how dumb you were in previous times, then you're not growing, which is something I extrapolated from like some other quote. But basically, like, I like looking back and realizing how stupid I was when I'm like a year younger, because that shows like you grew or something. But obviously, that doesn't mean you're like wherever you are at the moment is like perfect either. I'm obviously really stupid right now. I was stupid the year before, and I was stupid every year before that. It's a continuous chain. Everyone's stupid. I'm getting way too philosophical. This is what humanities class does to you. But Oh well, right? Lots of good and fun. You know, everyone does their own thing. What am I even talking about? Yeah, I'm just talking. I'm venting and yapping and doing a testing. But basically, I might come back and do more of these. Probably just studying and like venting and more stuff like that because someone got stabbed at my school today. I keep going back to that because it's just like such a bizarre thing to happen. I'm kind of just like everyone at the school. My school was actually desensitized to anything bad happening because it just happens so often. I thought my school was the golden standard of like everything in the local area. It's not. There's like vape circles. Like you can get a world record amount of vapes encountered in one day at my school just by going to the bathroom in 30 seconds. Like I don't know what happened. Everything just went down to the garbage. That's why I do a program that lets me get out of the school for half the day. It's genius. But yeah, that's the venting. I'm gonna go study for midterms, which is just about next week, and that's gonna suck. But peace.